Happy to be joined by our man Hunter Patterson of The Athletic. First time in a little bit that our man HP has been with us. Of course, he is the young Mark Spears, which means he's a future Hall of Famer. And man, if you aren't a subscriber over at The Athletic, you're missing out because The Athletic has got themselves a Kings reporter, and it's our man Hunter Patterson who's with us now. Hunter, great to have you with us. Let's talk defense, man, because you wrote about it today. It's up on The Athletic now. And it feels like every conversation about the Sacramento Kings in this moment is centering around number 23, man, Keon Ellis.
Yeah, first and foremost, always glad to be back kicking it with y'all. But Keon, at this point, is in the right place too often for it to be considered a coincidence anymore. He's getting glowing reviews from any of his teammates who get to talk about him. Last night, it was HB, De'Aaron. De'Aaron talked about how much easier he makes his life defensively. The night before against the Bucks, De'Aaron was talking about the 3-guard lineups that they go to sometimes with Keon, Davion, and De'Aaron, and how that increases ball pressure. And it's cool to see just because he was someone who was on a 2-way contract last year, and now, I mean, and even earlier this year until he got converted to a regular deal. So seeing his growth in his journey is cool. I'm happy for him.
Yeah, man, he's earned it. He's earned it, and that's no knock on anybody else. But he's had to dig deep. He's had to take different paths than other people to get to this point. And one of the things that he's done every single time, it feels like, is he's been ready when his number is called. He hasn't been sulking. He's been ready to go no matter when and where his number's been called. And I love to see it pay off for him, man, because he seems like a hard worker. He seems like a guy that does whatever is being asked of him to help the team. And his teammates appreciate that. You see that in, like you said, in their comments and the way they speak about him. They appreciate how he's always ready to give the team whatever it is they need.
And he seems just kind of one of those guys where he's happy to star in his role. He knows what he's good at. He's not trying to do anything outside of himself. And he's just a constant every time he's on the court. You know you're going to get max effort on both sides of the ball.
He real quick, one of the other thing I like about Keon, and I'm sure to be in the NBA, there's some things you can do with the basketball as far as dribbling and handling and shaking people and all this other stuff and scoring. I'm sure he can do all that, but he shows what you can do and how effective you can be if you just understand the game, like where you're supposed to be, help defense, all this other stuff, and you work hard. Like that. There's nothing flashy about his game. There's nothing on offense. All he really does is catch and shoot or make the right pass. It's I don't want to take away from him, but it seems so simple, right? Just go out there, be where you're supposed to be, and work hard. And look what it's got him. He's got the whole city of Sacramento buzzing. He's got an opportunity to start or play a lot of minutes on a playoff team just because he works hard and he understands the game, understands where he's supposed to be at all times. Simple.
Yeah. I mean, and even as far as numbers go, he led the Kings in steals last night and Tuesday night. Let Mike Brown tell it based on the tracking they have internally with their coaches. He had 8 deflections last night. So he's just super active.
Hunter, it's kind of a late season surprise here a little bit for Mike Brown in Sacramento, how well Keon has played and how much he seems to kind of push all of the buttons that Mike wants on the defensive end. How do you think Mike addresses this moving forward when he's got a healthy Keegan Murray, a healthy Kevin Huerter? He's got a little bit more of a healthy roster, and you've got this dynamic player who's been a big part of 2 really big wins against 2 really good teams in the last couple of days. And as you pointed out, elevates De'Aaron Fox. De'Aaron singing his praises, Harrison, Keegan, all of those guys are singing his praises, and you've got to figure out a way to get him minutes.
I think Mike is aware that, like KC said, like he's able to be adaptable enough to go some games with DNPs. You throw him into the starting lineup, he still produces. And I think Mike appreciates that. He doesn't Mike, I don't think wants to mess with the starting lineup as is this late in the season. And I think for him now, it's just about figuring out how he can carve out a consistent role for Keon off the bench when the starters are healthy. And a lot of times it's like the starting five gets obviously a lot of attention because you get your name called during the intros. There's just kind of glitz and glam that comes with being a starter. But Keon, I wouldn't be surprised if he's more often than not through these final 17 games, I believe, one of the closing five guys on the floor.
And you talk about like getting the glitz and glamours of being a starter and your name called and all this other stuff. But here in Sacramento, sometimes things are a little bit different. And we look at guys that come off the bench and we love them. They love Malik Monk. And Keon Ellis is starting to fall into that category where his name gets called at the 5-minute mark.
Harry Giles got a huge pop with like 30 seconds left in a blowout game last night.
And Keon is getting into that category with the way he's playing and the way that fans have fallen in love with his style of play and what he brings to the table.
And I think I first off completely agree with that. And the way he's gotten to this point, undrafted, we talked about earlier, like two-way contract to being full-time with the guaranteed money. And I think part of what makes Sac love him the way they do is he's really had to, like you said earlier, earn everything he's gotten to this point.
Hunter, what do you think of this team this year? Obviously, these last two games, on consecutive nights against, Dame. You take the Bucks and Lakers out of it. We're talking Dame and Giannis and LeBron and Anthony Davis. You get two really big wins, really controlling victories in both of those games for the Kings. We're riding high right now. We're laughing. We're talking trash. We're lighting the beam. We're doing all of that. And it's like, it could be taken. I don't think it'd be taken away Saturday because I think the Knicks are very good, regardless of it. It could be taken away Monday, though.
Oh, for sure.
It can be taken away against the Grizzlies. Like, all those vibes could die real quick, which has kind of been, up until this exact moment, the story of the season, Hunter. A lot of ups and a lot of downs. Like, you've watched every second of this team play this year. What is your thought on this team?
De'Aaron earlier in the year called it a bit of a roller coaster year, and I think that's probably the perfect way to describe it because they seem to really enjoy playing the better teams in the league, and they enjoy playing on the road as well. They do pretty well, but we're at the point in the season, and we have been for some time, where you need to treat the below 500 teams and teams you feel you're supposed to beat with the same respect you would treat the Bucks or Lakers. And I talked about it a little bit earlier in the piece I wrote, but the third quarters, I think, can be an area where they really try to hound other teams into turnovers. They started the second half last night with 5 straight stops. Over these last 2 games, the Bucks and Lakers, who are top 10 in third quarter scoring, those 2 teams only averaged 19.5 points. And after the win last night, De'Aaron was talking about how the teams he's been on here have usually been pretty bad in the third quarter, but when you're able to come out of the half hot and get stops, it, one, allows you to either extend the lead that you had coming into the second half, or you can kind of get back into the game. So if they keep taking advantage of these third quarters, especially on the defensive end, I think that can possibly be a way where they're competitive in any game, regardless who they're playing.
It felt like the whole game shifted at the start of the third quarter.
That was big. That was big. We get our
could have gotten way worse. Kings had a couple of turnovers. They were getting all those stops and turnovers. They had a couple of themselves. That thing could have really ballooned.
Yeah,
I would have seen that.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
Wouldn't have been sad.
We get our jokes off and everything with Anthony Davis and going up against Sabonis. 0 for 10 now in his career against Sabonis. Like I said, we joke about it, but Anthony Davis is a heck of a ball player. Very, very talented. What do you make of him not being able to do anything against Sabonis? Like, why is it this dominant against against Anthony Davis for Domantas Sabonis?
At this point, I think probably just play styles. Domas, he literally plays every possession. I mean, and this is kind of a cliche, might be a little corny or whatever, but Domas seems like he literally plays every single possession like it could be his last. He doesn't take any off. He's active every time down the floor and super physical. And maybe AD just struggles with the physicality. Domas is not intentionally like throwing elbows or anything, but he's really strong with how he moves with the ball. And I think that really gives him a big advantage on AD, because AD is another player who, like, when he wants to be, no question how elite he is. He's shown that time and time again. But this matchup is just one where Domas clearly has the advantage. And I think it's largely because of Domas's physicality.
Some would say he uses the ball as a weapon. But it's a different story. Did you catch?
Remind me of something. Just remind me of something a little later.
Okay.
Talking to Hunter now.
Remind Kenny of something. This is my life, Hunter. This is what I do. Remind Kenny of something. Got it.
Bonus.
Okay. Did you happen to? Did you? I know Hunter heard this. Did you happen to pick up on De'Aaron in kind of a roundabout way acknowledged that LeBron and AD flopping is part of their game plan? Like the way that they game plan is they know like they're going to like flop around for calls, and when they do, run, like take off and run, because they're going to be down a man. And he said it. Oh, he said it so casually that it's clear that they talk about, yeah, these dudes are going to be flopping all over the place. The second they do, if the whistle doesn't blow, just take off. We'll have an advantage. And we saw that like 4 times last night. And it's fun. You know, we have the clip of LeBron grabbing his eye and all of these different things. When the whistle doesn't go their way, like it's a part, like the Kings can't be the only one who are like, the second they start flopping all over the place, run. Yeah, run.
I think they were aware of it for sure. They know. I think the whole league at this point knows that the Lakers primarily score in the paint. And with scoring in the paint, 1, comes a lot of fouls. And 2, if you know how guys on the other side, namely AD or Bron, react when they don't get those foul calls, it's time to get out and run, because you probably have a numbers advantage in transition going the other way. And of the Lakers' 14 turnovers last night, those turned into 17 Kings points. So to your point, I think they definitely were prepared for it. They took advantage of it, and they weren't stopping to wait around and see if anyone's reaction would get them a call.
One of the signature plays that define that strategy late in the game, Lakers are inbounding the ball, and Sabonis just goes after the ball, just goes after it. AD kind of hopes that it gets to him. Sabonis just goes after the ball, bumps him a little bit. AD goes flailing down on the sideline looking for a call. Sabonis got the ball. Let's go. We turn it up this way.
Mm-hmm.
And I usually not crazy about the term. He just wants it more. But that's literally what happens a lot of the time when those two meet up with each other. Sabonis just wanted that ball more than AD. AD was too busy flopping on the ground. And to your point and De'Aaron's point, and what Hunter's talked about, the Kings saw that as an opportunity. Like, oh, yeah, he's going to fall all over the place. Let's get out on the break and get an easy bucket. And it's a great strategy, a smart strategy, and it's the correct one.
Yeah, I think it comes with, one, a good game plan, knowing your opponent, knowing how they can generate calls, being the superstars that they are, and then when the embellishments and things like that don't work, let's take advantage of it.
Did you see that still shot? I think I don't remember if it was King's Music. I don't remember who it was.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
They said that
the caption was wrong.
Domas got Anthony Davis out here looking like he about to have a baby.
Oh man,
I think AD was like holding his face, laying on the ground, something like that.
Yeah, his legs were up in the air like he was in the dead bug position. Oh, it was a wrap.
Come on, King's Music.
It's a wrap. That's funny though. That was one of the great still shots. Hunter, man, great to have you back with us. We missed you, man. We're following everything you're doing over there, man. We look forward to talking soon. If you ever want to get over on 102.5 and use that voice on the music side, man, I think we could work something out.
Oh,
we Hunter Patterson, a new career as the voice man. I think we could do it.
Man, yeah. I mean, like I said, it's always good to be back. I miss y'all too, and we might have to figure something out with the voice man. So
yeah, there it is. There it is. Right on, Hunter, man. We'll talk to you again soon, brother.
All right, appreciate y'all.